we're in many ways, in a constitutional crisis because the Constitution has so little meaning. As a people, we really have to make the decision. Yes, Congress has a lot of responsibility, the President has a lot of responsibility, but ultimately, if things are to work, the people have to accept a certain notion. The question you have to ask, and we have to help you answer it, is what should the role of government be? This is what the founders and our early settlers asked. What is the role of the British government on us? And they didn't like it, and so they changed it. But I think it was probably the greatest document written for a country and a people, but it was not perfect, and that's why the founders allowed us to amend it. But for me, the role of government, personally as well as in the Constitution, the role of government is very limited. The role of government is to protect our freedoms. It's not any more complicated. Just protect our freedoms, let we keep what we're in, keep the incentives there. And yet today, it's totally out of control. If they aren't protecting our civil liberties and our privacy, and they're protecting only government secrecy, and they have agencies of government like BATF and the Homeland Security and the TSA agents violating our liberties all the time, if we allow it to happen, then we've allowed the Constitution to be changed in an improper manner. We're in a crisis now because we do way too much, even on foreign policy. There's no authority in there to say that we're supposed to be the policemen of the world, that we're supposed to be involved in entangling alliances. And you know, we're involved in too many entangling alliances. For instance, I would like to get out of the entangling alliance of the United Nations. The World Bank, the WTO, and NAFTA and CAFTA and all the rest. Why don't we defend the sovereignty of this country and set an example for the world? People sometimes will accuse me of saying, well, you don't like to go over there and interfere and tell other people what to do. That means you're in isolation. Well, it's not the case. I want to have trade and travel and visit with people and be friends with people, which is quite a bit different. But if we accept this idea that the government should always be doing this and running things, let me tell you, we're not going to have much luck. We're not going to have free trade. We're not going to have a productive economy. We're not going to have sound money. And it's basically the fact that we haven't followed the Constitution. So if you can agree that we got into this mess because we don't respect the rule of law, I'd like to make a simple suggestion. Why don't we have only people, not only in the Congress, but in the White House that truly believe and will enforce the Constitution? There is no authority for us to be involved in wars around the world. You say, well, we have to do for our national defense. Well, if it's for our national defense, the founders thought about this. First, they said, under an attack, even in those days, it was more important because the Congress wouldn't be in session. If our country is under attack, the president does have an obvious responsibility to do something. But then immediately, if it's a prolonged, battle going on and you want to have a war, it's Congress that makes the decision. It's the people that make the decision. And that way, only Congress can declare the wars. Today we're in, I imagine, about 5 different wars, and they're ongoing, and even though they might make you think, we'd like you to believe that the Iraqi war is over and there was a wonderful victory in Afghanistan. I think most people know we've been there 10 years and there's not much of a victory, but we're in Pakistan, we're in Somalia, we're in Yemen, and we're very much involved in Libya, and our CIA is involved in Egypt. We're involved all over the places. We're in 130 countries. We have over 900 bases, and we're going broke. And they say, oh, well, we're getting ready to leave. Do you think the people in charge right now are ready to leave Iraq and Afghanistan, even though they tell us that? They're building huge bases over there. We built an embassy in Baghdad. It's bigger than the Vatican. It cost $1 billion. I would suggest it would have been much better to spend that $1 billion back here at home is what we need.